Betty Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am here with a new project. First tutorial I've done in a while. I'm a little rusty, so I apologize. I meant to take like a couple of weeks at Christmas, and I just have had a horrible time getting back in the groove, but that happens. I've been doing other projects that are not my design, and that actually helps. So that's pretty much that, and junk journals. I'm on a junk journal kick, which they're amazing, and I totally understand why. But yeah, so let's take a look. So I have used the Simple Stories Simple Vintage. What is the actual name of this? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Fresh Snow. Simple Vintage Fresh Snow. So for this, I used one entire collection kit and then one additional sheet each of everything except the tag sheet of the collection. I've used some of the stickers, I used the page pieces, I used the rub-ons, the foam stickers, and then the one other I found in my pack, can't think which one, the bits and pieces. So not a ton of decorating in this one because quite honestly this paper is absolutely stunning on its own and it really doesn't need much. So on the front here you can see we've got a shaker. I did use the Doodlebug ice crystals shakers for this. And this window continues on through on each one of the pages. So you'll see that here in a second. I kept the front very simple. I used the foam stickers to decorate the front. It, like I said, it didn't need a whole lot. Like it was just, this paper is just stunning. So when you open it up, we've got some stacked pockets. So I did do some of the tag cut aparts in those pockets here. I've got some foam stickers here. And then this is where that window continues on the front of each page. The back does not have the window, just the front. So this one, we've got just a pocket with the flap on top of it so you can put a photo there if you wanted. I've got one of the stickers from the sticker sheet there. This does have a magnetic closure. When we come to this back side, the top of this element does have a little tuck spot for some more tags. When you open this up, this opens like so. I didn't add anything else to it because really, once you put pictures on here, that's all you're going to need there. And this closes up and ties like so. Over here, we've got our next window. On this, I do have some of the rub-ons on here on the acetate. So that is one really cool way to use the rub-ons that are available. Like everybody has been coming back out with these. I know these were popular back when I first started paper crafting, like, I don't know, 17 years ago, 18 years ago. And they've kind of made a comeback, and I've loved using them on acetate. I've used them on the front of my, or on the pages of my acrylic albums that are available in my shop. So lots of options there. This opens up like so. We've got a belly band here and then a small layout here. I've used some of the bits and pieces here, some more of the coffee brown felt. This was my first time working with this, and it scores and folds really, really nicely. And it goes really well with this collection. Like it just picks up the brown in this collection. On the back side here, and I meant to put a couple of tags in here and I forgot, we've got some pockets, side-by-side pockets, then of course a big pocket in the back there, so very simple there. Here again, I've used a couple of those rub-ons, and then you open this up and this is actually loose to tuck a photo behind, and same thing over here to tuck something in over there. I kept the decorating on this, like I said, very, very simple because truly it doesn't need a whole lot. This paper is just, the paper is enough. That's supposed to be closed. So there is a magnet here. We've got the foam stickers here. Open this up. We've got some pockets here to tuck in extra cut aparts, that kind of thing. And then I did use the page pieces and some extra snowflakes out of the bits and pieces for my layout pages in here. I'm not wild about how it came out, but you know what? It's fine. This opens up here. We do have a nice little 3x4 waterfall here on top of the belly band. The belly band is off center because this does open, so of course you can, you know, tuck things under there. I ended up not, and there's actually a magnet in here, but I didn't take into account enough of a gusset for the belly band for that to actually connect, but you know, it happens. And again, we've got the rub-ons there. So, and I didn't do inserts again because I never know if anybody actually does them, like if they go ahead and cut them and put them in, or if they leave them and wait until they do pictures. So I didn't add them in just because I didn't add them in. Oh, I did use one of the chipboard frames back here on the back inside cover with this big pocket. And then this one I didn't realize was a wired ribbon until it was too late to pull the wire out. But this opens up like so. And then we've got a little flip out in the middle that I did not mat on purpose because I didn't want it getting any bulkier than it already was. But that just folds out like so for pictures. And then, like I said, those fold out. And then this all ties shut, which the ribbon is very pretty, but like I said, didn't realize it was a wired one until it was too late. And then the back cover, I literally forgot to mat the back cover, and this was the only full sheet I had left, which is fine. I could add scraps of other things and piece it if I wanted to, but really, it was fine like this. So that is the project. There's your spine matting. Yeah, so of course, full free tutorial starts next. All of the supplies are linked in the description box below. I do earn a small commission if you buy from those links at Country Craft Creations, but of course, that is not required, but it does help me to keep my tutorials free. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start with our base of our book. First thing we're going to do is our spine. So our spine is 2 inches by 10 inches. To wrap this, you need cardstock that is 5 by 12. I'm going to use my 1-piece spacer. So if you don't have the spacers, you want 1 inch top and bottom on your spine piece, and then 1.5 inches on each side. Okay. So go ahead and put that one down, maybe. Get it on here somewhat straight. Okay, so there's that one. And I'm done with that spacer. Our cover, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 10 by 10. Cardstock to wrap those is, of course, going to be 12 by 12 because you want 1 inch on each side. So there's that spacer. So let me put this one down, and then we're going to talk about the second one, because we are going to cut a window into that, and we want to do it before we wrap. Okay? All right, so I'm going to set that one aside, and I'm going to move my scoreboard. So on my second one, you can see I've got lines drawn on here. So I want my window to be 4 by 8. I want it 1 inch in from the outside edge. I want it 1 inch down, centered top and bottom, so 1 inch and 1 inch. So I've measured that out and drawn that where I want that. So I've got my Fiskars trimmer where I've got the little guide wire to kind of help me line this up exactly. I've got an old blade in here because all we're doing is trying to get those lines started, and then we will finish them with, and I totally just went over, with a knife. Okay. So I'm going to start here, go up to the top there, and then we'll go ahead and get our sides. So again, the window that we are cutting into this is going to be 4 by 8. It's going to be 1 inch from the right hand side. It's going to be centered top to bottom, so 1 inch from the top, 1 inch from the bottom. Okay, so there's that much of it. And then I'm going to take my knife, because I've got the grooves here, and then all I have to do is just drag my knife right in that groove that I created with the duller, the old blade on my trimmer. Okay. All right. And hopefully this will pop right out. And there we go. Okay, so I am going to hang on to this piece simply because we're going to use this as a guide, because this 4x8 window is going to kind of continue throughout the project. So this will kind of help us when we're cutting those additional frames and some of the flaps and the pockets and things on the inside. So I'm going to hang on to this one. Now I can go ahead, put my other 12x12 piece in here. And I did actually, on the back side of this, I did actually do my tape where I left that 4x8 piece without tape on it, as you can tell. Oops, get the spacer back in there. Just, you know, so that it was ready to go without having to do that after the fact. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of that. Okay. All right, I'm going to set that one to the side. Now our last piece, because I am going to put some of the Doodlebug snowflake shakers in here, and they're fairly thin, but I want a little bit more depth before I put my acetate and put those in. So we're actually going to do another frame that's going to sit on top on the outside, but then you'll see all the way down through. So this piece for that frame is 5x9. We are going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing to trim this in. So because this is 5x9, you want a 1/2 inch all the way around. Okay, so I am doing the exact same thing I did before to start those lines for where we want to cut out that frame. And this one, because I don't have a whole lot of extra space, I am being a little bit more careful as I do the lines. Okay, so there's that. Put that out of the way so I don't accidentally grab it and go to cut with it, because I have done that before. Okay, and then we're going to do the exact same thing again. To cut out this frame. We're good there. Okay. One of these corners is not all the way through. There we go. Okay. And then down here. All right, like so. All right, so this one I am going to take score tape because I have not taped this one. So I am going to go ahead and do my score tape all the way around before we put this one down and get it ready to wrap. Okay, there we go there. And I think this, yep. So this piece is 6 by 11, which somehow, I don't know why I did it that way, because it should be 6 by 10. I don't want it the full 1 inch around because we don't have that much on, so 6 by 10 on this piece, because we only want 1/2 inch around to wrap this one because it is smaller. So if you've got the small spacers from CCC, the 1/2 inch ones, go ahead and use those. Otherwise you can just eyeball it. I'm just going to eyeball it because I'm not sure. Well, I know where mine are. I don't want to grab them right now. So I am just going to eyeball approximately where that needs to go. Okay. All right. So we're going to set these 2 pieces aside for right now. We're going to go ahead and wrap our spine and our cover, our back cover, that is. Okay. So I'm going to just use the chipboard to fold the cardstock around. This is my first time using the, what is the name of this? Coffee brown felt, I think. And I'm not sure why it's not felt. I don't know why they call it that. I don't know if it's just because the texture kind of looks like it is, but it is absolutely not felt. This is cardstock, okay? So I know that can be kind of confusing. But it absolutely has a different feel to it than the normal artisan cardstock does. If I do I not like? Weird, okay. That was weird. So, okay, so what I'm gonna do is go around and cut out those corners. And I've been doing it for a while now by getting it folded over and then trimming rather than cutting them all twice, okay? So we've got that. I'm going to come in with my 1/4 inch score tape. And run that around this outside edge. Okay. Get that out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing with our spine. So I'm just using that chipboard to help fold the cardstock around. And then burnishing that down. Okay. And then I'm going to cut. Okay. And that leaves you with those little flaps sticking out. And then I fold in, and then I miter it one more time. Okay. this one I'm going to do, and you can just use glue. I like the combination. I like that the score tape helps it grab immediately when I go to fold all this over, and the tape helps it grab immediately, and then the glue gives it a good tight bond. So, all right, so for the spine only, these two wider flaps, you're going to put the tape to attach those on the good side, so on the outside, okay? And since this is ready to go, I am going to burnish along the edge of that chipboard so you can see the difference here. Now that's very defined, okay? So when I go along this side, again, now that's very defined where that chipboard is, okay? So let's go ahead and wrap this one and our main piece. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take my backing off of my tape on both ends. And oops. There we go there, and down. Doing glue up against the edge of the chipboard, a little bit in the open area, you don't need tons, and down. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with this one, only we're going to go all the way around. Okay. All right, so glue along the edge of the chipboard in the open area. Take your bone folder, push up against the edge of the chipboard, fold it over, and burnish it down. Okay, I like to do opposite sides. You can just go around. It does not matter. Okay, over and down. And again, up, over and down. And I started out with black chipboard on this, forgetting that I was actually building this with the brown cardstock, or I would have just used the normal chipboard. But there you go. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and attach the back cover to our spine. Okay, so this is how it goes together. You're basically getting, you're going to go up next to your spine, but not over, okay? So this is where burnishing that down helps, okay? You can go ahead and do your glue here, lay it this way. I've always done it like pulled it slightly off the edge and adjusted it. You can also do it where you get your glue on here, you hold this down, and then you do it up against like this, typically in your scoreboard, so you have like that edge to push it up against. Either way works. It's entirely up to you. This side I'm going to do this way so you can see both ways. So I've got my backing off my tape. You don't want your glue going all the way up to the edge of your chipboard. Okay, so I'm laying this on top of the spine. I'm using my fingernail at the top to kind of keep it lined up and guide it. And then it drops off the edge. And you want about a 1/16 of an inch gap doing it this way. Okay, so I'm going to carefully turn it over and burnish this down. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the side because we're going to deal with our two frame pieces. So the big piece, well, actually both pieces, we're going to start out doing this exact same, fold it around the chipboard. Okay. then cut out your corners. So I start by mitering. So I'm just taking that little wedge out. And then open it up and miter again to get that whole corner out. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go around this one with the tape. Just like we did with the first one, and we'll go ahead and wrap this one like normal, and then we'll deal with this center section. Okay, so again, I'm going to go around and get the backing off my tape. And we're going to wrap this just like we did the other one. That part is no different. Okay, so glue along the edge of the chipboard, push up and over, and burnish it down. On the edge of the chipboard, burnish, up and over, burnish it down. Okay. And one more time. Okay. So now, this center section here, what I want to do is take a ruler and I'm going to line it up corner to corner. Okay. I'm going to take my knife again and I'm going to cut. Like so. And I didn't quite get it lined up in this corner over here, which is fine. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You can just poke in there with scissors and do it that way. I prefer to try and get it somewhat lined up and somewhat, you know, clean looking. Okay, so for this side, we can come in here with our bone folder, assuming we actually cut all the way through, which apparently we didn't. Not usually an issue I ever have with the artisan, I will say that. Okay. Take that one out. All right. So for this side, because we don't need to trim anything off, we can just fold this over and back down like so. Ooh, that's weird. That's all we need to do with that. So you can use tape. I'm just going to glue this because it's all going to end up covered with pattern paper eventually anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we're just going to go ahead and burnish that down like so. Okay. I'm going to glue that down because that is distinctly weird. Don't know that I like that, but that's okay. We're at this point, it's cut, we're going to use it. Okay. For this side, I'm actually going to lay my bone folder because my bone folder is about the right width. I'm going to lay it down and I'm going to trim along the edge to remove that little extra piece. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here because on this one we do have that extra space. because we've got 1 inch on those 3 sides. And again here, okay? And then we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to come in here because we can't really fold it with the chipboard. So that's where we're going to use the bone folder to get it up, over, and down, okay? And I'm going to come through and do that with the bone folder first to kind of train the paper where we want it to go, okay? Like that. And then we can come in, and that's where I said if you wanted to use tape and glue, by all means, you can do that. Works just fine. But we're just going to fold this over and burnish it down. Again, it'll get matted over, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Because unlike I typically would do when matting, at least for the cover, we are going to go right up to the edge of that window. We're not going to try to, back it up, the 1/16 of an inch on each side, because quite honestly, it looks nice, but it is not the easiest to measure out and actually accomplish without making a huge mess. Okay, so we're going to save ourselves that hassle and just go right up to that edge. Okay, all right, so there is our frame and our cover. I'm going to go ahead and grab our base. So this is going to be our base. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my backing off of my tape over here. And I'm going to show you the other way to do this. Where's my scoreboard? Okay, so I'm going to lay this in my scoreboard the way it's actually going to go together. So my hinge is going to attach on this side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get glue in here. Okay, I'm going to hold it down like so. I'm going to use my scoreboard to line up the corners, the edges, however you want to call those, and then drop it down. Except that didn't go where it's supposed to go. Yeah, so that's why I don't do this method. Sometimes it works for me. Today, clearly it's not, and it's mostly the size of the album. That works really, really well with smaller albums. Apparently not so much with the bigger ones, and I don't know that I've tried it with the bigger ones. This is like a first. So let's just pretend we didn't do that, because that did not want to work today. And that's okay. All right, so we're going to burnish that down. Okay, on this inside, to reinforce all of our spine, I have a piece that is 9 7/8 by 7, the back side of which is covered 100% in tape, because I want this to go down flat and smooth and not bubble and not shift and all of those things. Okay, so to get the backing off of this, get my note off of it, and we are just going to line this up top to bottom, side to side, and drop it down. I'm going to get my big bone folder for this and burnish this down, and then we will fold up and burnish into that crease, and we will do the same on this side. And then I like to fold up and pinch to really set everything into place. Okay, so there's our cover. We need to do our other frame, so we'll do that one next. So we're going to start this one out the exact same way. We are going to fold around the frame. This one is going to be a little bit harder because it is smaller, okay? So you want to be careful to not fold, you know, cause your chipboard to bend, because we do only have about 1/2 inch that we're working with here. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to miter the corners the exact same way. And like so. And then in, and miter those tabs off. Okay. Okay, so for this one, I am going to do just tape. I am not going to try and glue this one as well as tape it. It will be just fine. Well, if I can get it lined up right, huh? And there we go there. And one more. Okay, there's that. And then we're just going to do the same thing before. There's just no glue. And really, you can do this when you're building your covers. Like I said, I just like the combination, but it's absolutely up to you. I know some people just glue, some people just tape, some do the combo like I do. None of them are wrong. Okay, so I'm going to burnish up, over and down, up, over and down, over and down, and over and down. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with cutting our X through the middle of this. Okay. All right. And then again, the next way, the other side, I don't know. Whatever makes the most sense to you. Oh my gosh, there are days, I'm telling you. And I'm rusty. It's been a while since I've done a full tutorial. All right, so this time I'm gonna use my ruler kind of to cut out these extra pieces in the middle here, but it doesn't have to be exact. We just want enough to be able to fold it up and over, but not enough that it's hanging off the side. You could actually, if you wanted to make it really easy on yourself, fold it up and over and then trim it off, but I don't want to run the risk that I'm going to end up with too much. So let's do this one that I've got ready, just how it is. Okay, so I would go like that. I'd go up and over. Again, using the bone folder. And then we're going to go over and down. Okay, so you could do it like that, or you could go ahead and run your tape about like so. Get that off. Over and down, and then flip it back over, and then trim it off like so. Honestly, with as small as this is, I think I like that better. I've thought of doing it that way. That worked really well. Let's do that again. Okay, so you'll see doing it this alternative way, I am not doing my tape up to the edge because I want to be able to stick the knife underneath when I go to trim that off. Okay, so I'm coming in like so with the bone folder, and then over and down. Okay, same again here. In with the bone folder, up against the edge of the chipboard, and over and down, and then coming back in. That worked really well. Wow. Cool. Okay. So I am just angling that so that it's kind of up underneath. And that worked just beautifully. Okay, so now before I put this down, I do want to mat my front cover, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this flat. I actually have my matting cut. So this is 9 7/8 by 9 7/8, okay? This is gonna go on the top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take, if I can find it, maybe it's not in its thing. I don't think it's in its thing. Hold on. I want the repositionable adhesive. So let me swap this out, which is honestly the coolest thing about this tape runner is that you can switch them out like that so easily. Okay, I don't usually use the repositionable, but in this case, I think it's gonna be best. Okay, so I am going to lay that on where it's ultimately gonna go. Okay, and this is just trying to conserve paper and get everything lined up exactly how I want it lined up. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to trace so that it's on the back side exactly where my window is. Okay. All right, I'm going to pop this back off. You can see my pencil line. I'm going to line this one up where my pencil line is, and I'm going to go again and trace that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to take my ruler, and this is the new Tim Holtz one that replaces the one we all know and love. Not super stoked about it, but it does have like little grippy like rails on it so it doesn't move, which in this case is definitely a good thing. So I am lining this up next to my line, okay? And I am going to cut next to my line. Okay, so there's my line, there's my cut. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I'm cutting inside my line about 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so that hopefully when this is cut out, it's going to fit exactly on top of our small frame. Okay. Okay. So, assuming I have cut this all correctly, okay. Okay, there we go. So, assuming all went well, this will go on here like so. This will go on top. And line up exactly frame to frame. And then this will go on top. Which looks like I managed to do it. So yay me! Yep, we're good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece on. Okay. Yeah, except I need glue down those sides too, huh? That would be helpful. Okay. So this goes down. Okay. This piece is going to go on here. However, I am going to straighten it up just a little bit. I am slightly off on the very top. So I'm just going to pop it in my trimmer, and then the rest of it's good. However, we're not going to glue this down yet. We need to do two things. We are going to get the temporary adhesive on here. Okay. Center this up exactly how it needs to go when it's on the project. And then I'm going to turn it over, and we are going to cut carefully so that we do not trim or cut our brown that is wrapping our frame. Okay, like so. So we can get this frame out, because we need to put our acetate down on top of this before we glue this down. Okay, so I'm just looking to see which corners I didn't get all the way cut. Didn't quite get that one. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. So you can of course save this for matting or something somewhere else. But that will go down on top of that. But we need our acetate for this first. And this whole project's gonna take a couple sheets of just the normal acetate. Okay. So our acetate measurement is gonna be 4 3/8 by 8 3/4, I think. Hold on, let's see if that's right. Let's see if that's right, because somehow that seems like it's not. Oh, no, that'll work. Okay. All right, so I am going to take my score tape. I'm going to run it around the edge of my frame on this outside here. And then we'll go ahead and put our acetate down. And then we will put down our pattern paper. And then we will put this down on the front of the book. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and get glue on the back of our frame matting. Okay. And there you go. That's down. If you end up with a little bit of glue on your acetate, you can take rubbing alcohol to get that off. Okay. So now I'm going to take this piece. I am going to get glue on the back side. And this will go down like so. Turn it over this way, make sure everything's lined up where it's supposed to be, and we're good. Okay. Gonna give that a second to dry while I grab our snowflakes. So this is the Doodlebug Shakers Ice Crystals, and it is just little white snowflakes. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna get my acetate piece for this, which this one can be bigger. So this one I'm gonna go 9 by 5. Okay, because this one will go across on the back side here. This one, just to save us time, I'm going to go ahead and do my tape directly on the acetate so that we can put that down. Okay. Okay, so that's ready to go. So now we just need to sprinkle some of our snowflakes in here. However many you see fit. I'm going to go about like that. And then I'm going to get my backing off on one piece of this, get this all centered up where I want it, and then burnish that down. Then I can come in and worry about my other sides. Okay. All right. All right, so there we go. There is our cover. It is ready to go. I'm going to set this aside for just a minute. Next thing we're going to do is going to be our hinge. So for our hinge, you need a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 9. Okay. We are going to score this with the 5.5 at the top of your scoreboard every 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm sure you can tell from the reflection mine is scored, but that's okay. I was just double checking everything before I got going on this. So we're going to go 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 5. Okay. So what I like to do, so this is going to be 4 pages. So we've got page, here, let's do it this way. Page, page, gusset. Page, page, gusset. Page, page, gusset. Page, page. So anywhere that I have the X, those are pieces that are getting glued together. Okay. The places without the X are the gussets between the pages. So I'm going to start by folding this about halfway. If this were a 5-page album, I would be doing it right in the middle, but we don't want to start folding on the ends because that's how you end up with a wonky hinge, which I still do. Even after having made as many of these books as I have, I still end up with wonky hinges. So this is quite honestly probably the hardest part of making a mini album is the hinge. So we're going to fold the next one and burnish it. And then I'm going to go to my end and burnish. And my other end and burnish. Okay. So I'm going to glue, and I know I probably make you crazy because I think I do this slightly different every time. The folding and the burnishing, I do the same. The actual construction does kind of change. Depends on the project, depends on the paper. And this honestly, like, scores and folds really nicely, I gotta say. Okay, so I'm gonna glue my first one down. If you have a little bit glue seep out, that's fine. Just keep a rag handy to wipe it down. Okay, and we're gonna do it again. Maybe. Okay, and again, you want to burnish from the middle out because that's going to lessen the chance of this getting crooked. Okay, you don't want to like start at an end and start burnishing because that's how you end up with crooked score lines. Assuming you scored them correctly in the first place, which we also know is my other downfall. Okay, I'm going to go to my next set. Okay, over, burnish it down. Okay. Now, this is where it gets tricky because I want to fold this back without pulling up what I just glued and burnish this down as well. That's to make sure we didn't have any glue seep out in the middle that's going to end up gluing everything together that we don't want glued. Okay, which looks like we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish that one. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to fold this one back towards myself. And again, I'm going to burnish from the middle out. And there's our first 2 hinges. Here's our third. Here's our last one. Okay. You know, I've been using this for days without it clogging once. And the minute I go to record something, this is when it decides it's going to clog on everything I touch. Which sounds about right. Okay. Burnish from the middle out. The middle out. Wipe up the glue. Carefully. Find the right side. Fold back and burnish again. back in from the middle out. And then fold back on itself and burnish again. Okay. Oh, we gotta fold and burnish our last one. We had not folded that one back yet. Okay, so there's your hinge. All 4 little places to attach a page. If you're concerned that your hinge is not straight, I always will measure at the top, at the bottom, and in the middle. If I'm off by more than 1/8 of an inch, I will remake my hinge. If it's less than 1/8 of an inch, if it's like a 1/16 of an inch off, it's fine. It is not noticeable at that point. Okay, so I do want to mat underneath this before we put this in. And I'm going to just take one of my scraps from the cover. I think I want pine cover. Okay, so this is going to be 1 7/8 by, should already be the right height, right? Yes. 1 7/8 by 9 7/8. Okay. You don't have to mat underneath here if you don't want to. It is entirely optional. I go in streaks with matting underneath my hinge. This one, because the hinge is a full inch smaller than the spine, like height, I definitely want to do it in this case. Okay. All right. So there is that. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. So I'm going to hold it like this so that I can hold it nice and flat. Get my glue on. Okay. And then I'm going to just center this side to side, top to bottom. And when I get it about where it needs to go, I'm just going to kind of hold it for a second before I come in and actually burnish. Okay, you don't want it to move once you've got it down. So honestly, burnishing with your fingers is probably best because they fit in there nice and easily. You can feel better if it's trying to move on you. And there's that. Okay, we'll set that aside and we'll do our page bases next. So for our page bases, you need 4 pieces that are 9 by 9. You need 4 pieces that are 9.5 by 9.5. I believe my last count after I got everything cut for this except inserts, I was at 23 sheets. Hold on, let me double check. I might be wrong. Nope, I'm at 25 sheets of artisan. Okay. The coffee brown felt, if you choose to use this one, comes 15 to a package as opposed to 24 to a package, so keep that in mind. I had grabbed 2 packages, and when I pulled it out to start cutting, I kind of panicked because I didn't realize that's how many were in there, but it ended up being more than enough. It was fine. All right, so the 4 9 by 9 pieces do not have any scoring. Okay. The 9.5 by 9.5, we are going to score at 1/2 inch on 2 sides. So I've scored it actually at 9 as opposed to at 1/2 because then I'm not having to turn it sideways. Well, I still do turn it sideways, but without having to reach across, it's easy enough to do it that way. So you're going to go 1/2 inch, turn it a 1/4 turn, and 1/2 inch again. Okay, you're going to do that on all 4 of the 9.5 by 9.5 pieces. Okay, once you do that, I want to miter across the bottom where those score lines cross. Okay, like so. And then I want to miter up here at the top. Doesn't have to be super aggressive. just enough that it's not sticking out once we put our bases together. Okay. So we're going to do that on all 4. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish my score lines. Okay. So I would fold and burnish all 4. I'm going to show you how to put one of these together because all 4 of them are going to be the exact same. Okay. So I am going to, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can go ahead and glue both sides and then you slide this onto your hinge when we go to attach them to the hinge. That's how I'm going to do mine because I have my spacers that I sell in my store, Scrapping Under the Influence, that help you to get the pages on straight and spaced out correctly. Okay. If you don't have the spacers, if you're worried about getting it on here exactly, I would suggest just doing the bottom one, because then when we go to put it in the book, you're going to fold this up. You'll be able to move this out of either the bottom or the side. You're going to do one or the other, just depending on your preference. Okay. You're only going to attach one tab for now. When it goes into the book onto the hinge, you'll glue it, and then you'll glue whichever side you didn't glue closed after it's in the book. Okay. I am going to do it with my page spacer tool. So I'm actually going to glue both sides, and I am going to put the glue on both sides at the same time because I'm going to use my table to get these lined up. Okay. To make sure they're lined up edge to edge, and then burnish it down. Okay, so there's a page base, and I'll just continue on in the same manner with fold and burnish, fold and burnish, glue, and then go ahead and line it up, stand it up, and there you go. Okay. You can, if you would like, instead of doing these tabs to the inside, which I know can be a little tricky to get them glued together, you can do them to the outside. I do that once in a while. Personally, I don't like how it looks because you already have enough weird little tabs and things you're trying to cover up with pattern paper, and this is just one more thing. And for whatever reason, I always tend to notice that, so I don't typically do it that way. If you prefer, because again, it is definitely easier, what you want to do on the 4 pieces that don't have the scoring is to cut them just a hair under 9 inches, like a 1/16 of an inch under, so that your pages stay the same, the 9 by 9, and everything lines up nice and even. Okay. All right. Last one. Okay. Okay. So at this point, and this is another time where you're going to need to make a decision if you want to build all of your elements on your pages and then put them in your book, or if you want to put your pages in first and then build the elements as you go. I do it both ways. I've been doing it where I build everything onto the page and then put the page in. I've been doing that a lot more lately, just because I find in some cases I get that the finished pages look better. However, it's entirely up to you. In this case, I am going to go ahead and put them in. Okay. So let me grab my spacers. Okay. So these are my, where's my other one? 1/2 inch hinge spacers that I sell on my website, Scrapping Under the Influence. They are etched with the size. I have 1/2 inch and I have 3/8. As soon as I get my Glowforge back from them, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that whole saga. As soon as I get it back, I am going to do for 5/8 gusset and for 3/4 inch gusset. I have them set up. I just need to do test cuts, which I haven't been able to do. So if you have never used these before, all you're going to do is slide these down onto your hinge, and you're going to push it down until it touches the edge of your hinge. Okay, you're going to do this top and bottom. Okay, these are made for up to 5 pages. If you've got fewer, clearly it works. You can hang off. If you've got more, you just have to move them at some point. Okay, so you're going to make sure these are sitting nice and flat on your spine. And then you will take your page base. You will put glue on one side. Okay, we'll slide this on. Actually, not even all the way. We're going to do a little bit on each end. Okay, on both sides on each. Sorry, it's been a while. I told you, it's been a while since I've actually made an album that, you know, wasn't a junk journal. That's all I've done for the last like 2 months. So you're going to do a little glue on both sides on each end so that you can put this on, pinch it, hold it for a second till it dries, and then move on to the next one. Okay. We don't take the spacers out until the very end. And what the spacers do is they're going to give you 1/8 of an inch between the base of your hinge and the bottom part of your page. What that does is it gives it enough room to turn where you're not going to have like one side that's further down, and it, you know, makes the page not turn as well, and it helps your pages lay a lot flatter, of course, prior to you putting stuff on them, because the minute you put stuff on them, none of them lay flat. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, so I am just doing a little bit on each end, because what I can do once everything's in, I can go back, put the tip of my glue in there, and fill in the rest. So, okay, a little bit there. And even if you're not using the spacers, this method still works really, really well to get them in. And if you have to pull them out, you're not having to pull out a ton of glue. So the page base goes down right on top of the spacer. And then I'm literally just going to hold it for a second. Okay. Okay. That should give it time to dry. Or not. Because I think it's soaked in and now it doesn't want to dry. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing on the next one. We're just going to do a little bit of glue on either end. Because we want it to grab, we want it to stay lined up, and we can finish gluing it after the fact. So open that up, slide it on, and then just pinch it together and hold it for a minute while it dries. So as you do this, your pages will stay standing up like you're seeing. When we pull the spacers out at the end, you pull them straight out. You don't pull them up and over, because they will break if you try to pull them up over the pages. Okay, you have to pull them straight out to the side. Okay, so again, If you get glue on the spacers, it honestly doesn't matter. It'll wash off or peel off, as the case may be. Whatever. I think mine are actually really in desperate need of a cleaning, but that's okay. Okay. Next one. We're going to hold it. Give it a minute to dry. Okay. And our last one. Okay. And hold it again. Okay. Now, all I'm going to do is slide the spacers out and out. And then there we go. Our pages are in, they are even, they lay nice and flat. And all I need to do now is come back with my glue and add a little line inside and push it down, back and forth through the entire book. And then they are attached, they are straight. You've got a good amount of space so that they turn smoothly, and everything is good to go and ready to move on to the next step. Easy peasy. The other tool I have that, in fact, I have a bundle with both spacers and my Hinge guide, or not Hinge guide, is that what I call it? I honestly don't know what I call it. Yes. So I have a guide to help you determine how long your paper needs to be and where you need to score for both a 1/2 inch hinge and a 3/8 inch hinge. This goes really well with the spacers. There is a bundle available on my website with all 3 of those in it together at a discount if you are new to this. And like I said, I have some other things ready to go as soon as the dang Glowforge gets returned. But here we go. Okay, and there we go. Easy peasy. All right, so let me grab a few things, get a few things ready, and we will move on to our inside elements. Okay, so front and back inside cover. We do need to mat the front inside cover for sure before we put the page elements on. Back inside cover, there is just a large pocket, but I am going to go ahead and mat, or I've got my mat ready to go for that one. So let's do that one first because it's very, very straightforward. So back inside cover, we have a piece of cardstock that is 11 by 6. Grab the scoreboard. It's buried. Okay, so with the 11 inch at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, and at 10.5. You're going to turn it quarter turn and score at 1/2 inch again. Okay. We are going to miter. So we are going to go down through the bottom corners where the score lines cross, and we are going to miter at the top. Okay. And then we can go ahead and fold and burnish. Okay. And that will go down like so, and then our matting actually will slide just right in behind there. If you wanted to take this piece and trim it so that you could flip half the other way, that's entirely up to you. Honestly, I'm not sure which way I want to do that, so I probably am going to just set this one aside. I know I'm using that one, I'm just not sure how I want to use it. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and put the pocket down. Okay, easy enough. This piece, however, we have to cut out our window. You could leave it if you wanted to. If you wanted to have that just showing through on the front, you absolutely could do that. I would like it to show through to the first page. So I am going to trim that out. So how am I going to do that? Remember our little extra piece of cardstock that's the same size as our frame? Supposed to be the same. Yeah, it's I was like, wait a minute. It looked funny because I was seeing the edge. Okay, so what I'm going to do to start to get this lined up, okay, I know we need to be, when we put the mat down, it's going to be about like so. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this, figure out, let me back up. I'm trying to think the easiest way to explain this. Okay, we're going to do it this way. We're going to turn this over the wrong way. Okay. In the meantime, so we know we were 1 inch and 1 inch. Okay. This is 1/8 of an inch smaller. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to measure 1/8 of an inch down. I'm sorry, 7/8 of an inch down and 7/8 of an inch up. I'm going to put a pencil mark. I'm going to come in on this side and do the same thing at 7/8 over here. Okay. I am then going to take my little 4x8 chipboard piece. That doesn't look right. Sorry, bear with me for 1 second. Truly, we should have gotten this like cut before we put the back on here, but we didn't. So that is entirely my fault, and I apologize. So that one ends up being about right. That one's about right. Oh, that's how we can do it. Okay. Solution. We're going to lie this, put some repositionable adhesive on here. Line it up exactly over that window. Line this up where it's going to go down and pick that up with the repositionable on the back. Then, sorry, I promise the rest of these are not going to be this hard, because the rest of these we will mat and then trim out the centerpiece. With the chipboard, it's incredibly hard to do it that way. Oh, my lid's off already. Okay, so I'm going to use my chipboard piece as my guide to cut out my frame. I think I need a new blade in here, because this one feels like it's dragging. Okay. So, with the exception of up here where I totally like got off track, the rest of this should pop right out. All right, there we go. That worked. Ha-ha! Amazing. You know, there are days where I just go, why did I think of this? Why did I think this was a good idea? This is one of those days. So I will pull that piece off, hang on to that for somewhere else if we want to, and go ahead and glue this one into our book. Of course, this might need filled. That's why it's like acting up on me. That is entirely possible. Okay. And there we go. All right. So that's it. Okay. There's only 2 other spots where we need to mat prior to putting the element in, but we can do that when we get to those pages. In fact, we might start with the non-window pages. So basically it'll be the back of all 4 pages. So we're probably going to do those first because that will, I think, work a little bit better. So first thing, front inside cover, we have some stacked pockets. So I have 4 pieces of cardstock that are 4.5 by 5. I think we need all 4. We might not, just depending on how we do these. I kind of only want, no, we'll do all 4. Okay, so you're going to score these with the 5-inch at the top, at 1/2 inch, and at 4.5. I did score along the bottom. One of them for sure needs to be scored along the bottom. So 1/2 inch on the bottom. That one I'm going to go ahead and miter. Okay. You're going to fold and burnish. Fold, burnish. Okay. The other ones, you know what? That's what we needed to do. Sorry, I literally designed this album like a month ago. Okay, 4.5 at the top. Okay, we've got one that's done like a normal pocket. 4.5 at the top. Actually, let's trim these down. Let's trim these down to 3 inches. So 5 by 3. One piece, 4.5 by 5. 3 pieces, 5 by 3. Which will be good because you end up with several scraps that are 3 by 12. So you'll be able to cut these from those scraps. Okay. So all 3 of these, we are going to score them with the 5-inch at the top, at 1/2 inch, and at 4.5. Okay, on all 3. We're going to miter like so. Okay. And then you're going to put it back on the scoreboard, and with the little mitered part to this outside, at 2 inches, I'm just going to make a mark. I don't want to score all the way across. This is literally just a visual for me on where I need to trim. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we are going to miter quite aggressively, like so. Okay. Because what's going to happen is we're going to fold these in. I probably might have got enough, quite honestly. I did not. Okay. So from that 1/2 inch mark, you're going to fold and then you're going to miter. Okay. Like so. Okay. Because this is going to slide down inside the pocket to do our stacked pockets without making them bulky. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish, and then go from that 1/2 inch mark, like so. Okay, that we really can trim off. And if that's easier to take, trim in like that, fold it over, and then miter. It's up to you. Okay. I know I've seen this done differently. I am absolutely drawing a blank on where I've seen it done differently. And I know I've done it differently in the past, but okay. All right, so now that's where we decide if we really need it all 4. Okay, this is going down here. The next one will get stacked. The next one will get stacked. We only need 3. That's what I was afraid of. But that's okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to glue the bottom only. I'm going to line it up with the bottom of the window. Next to, but lined up with the bottom of the window. Okay. The next one, I'm going to put glue on my side tabs. I'm going to hold this down. Slide it down in so it's all lined up. And then I can open that up and then get underneath. Which, if you wanted it to just be open all the way down, you absolutely could do it that way as well. This one is going to be a little bit trickier, where we're going to have to do it as we slide it in, or we can leave, actually I'm going to leave the bottom of this one open down into the one below it. So you could tuck something longer into that one. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and close this up. Okay. Like so. And there you go. There are your front inside pockets. Okay, we are going to jump ahead to the back of page 1. This one does need to be matted before we put our page elements on. I was like, I literally just had this. Where'd it go? For this one, I think I'm going to use this cute little paper with the deer. It's got just pine cones on the other side, depending on which. I think I want the little deer. Do I want the little deer? I don't know. The deer's faces are kind of creepy. Okay, I think we're going to swap it. We're going to use this one instead. I know, I'm awful. I'm sorry. I can't help it sometimes. Okay, so this is 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and mat this page. It's the other one we have to mat ahead of time. More of it gets covered up so we can cover up the weird deer faces, or we'll use the pine cones. I don't know which, we'll figure it out. Okay, so back of page 1, you need a piece of cardstock that is 12 by 6. We are going to score this at 3 and at 9. You need 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 5 and 15/16. The reason for that is they are going to fold inside of this, and you do not want them running into your side where these flaps are going to fold over, okay? So with your 6.5 at the top, you're going to score this at 6 and at 6. You're going to miter both of these pieces. Okay. Go ahead and fold and burnish. Okay. And I'm going to fold and burnish on this as well. Okay, so this is going to close like so. These two are going to go on the inside like so. So I can tell that I need to take a little bit more off of this one. And I think I'm going to do it off of both. I think I'm going to take them down to 5 7/8, just so that I am positive they're going to fit the way I want them to. Okay, I will redo the one miter at the top. Okay, now we are not going to put these tabs to the inside. We are going to wrap them around the back. Okay, so I'm going to get this centered up in the middle here where I want it to go, and lay this flat and then glue. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with the other side. Okay, so again, I'm going to line them up so that they lay on top of each other exactly, turn it over, and glue it so that this wraps around to the back. Okay, like so. And then these will close, and then we are going to use some ribbon to hold all of this together. I'm not sure which one I want to use. I have a couple of options here. I think we're going to go with this kind of silvery one for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of this pulled off. More than I need, because as we all know, I am bow challenged and will never tie anything pretty ever in my life. But we can always hope. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around and tie this shut. And then we're going to glue this whole piece down in the middle of that page. Now, if you wanted to, you could glue this on 3 sides and make this into another pocket. I don't want to do that just because of the ribbon. If you're using a magnetic closure, then by all means, do exactly that. But this is just going to go down in the middle here. I think I want to retie that so it's a little more even. Okay. All right, so then we can go ahead and glue this down. In fact, what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to glue on 2 sides. So I've got a very shallow pocket. Let's do it that way. Then I don't have to worry about the ribbon getting in the way. And then if I've got tags or whatever, I can tuck those in and they won't go too far down behind. Okay, so there we go. So there is that one. Okay, the front of each page is going to have an element on it with this same window without the shaker. We're not doing the shaker again. So that's why I said we're going to work on these, the back sides of these first. Okay. Back side of page 2, we have got some stacked pockets again. So we don't need to mat this one ahead of time. So we've got a piece that is 10 by 5.5. We are going to score this with the 10" at the top, at 1/2 inch, and at 9.5. Turn it and score at 1/2 inch, which in my case I'm going to do 5 inches. Okay. The other 2 pieces are both 4.5 by just under 5. Okay, so like a 1/16 of an inch under. So with the 4.5 at the top, I'm going to score 1/2 inch because I'm making them not quite as wide. I will turn it 1/2 inch again, turn, and then 1/2 inch again. Okay, so 1/2 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm cutting them slightly under so that I'm positive they're going to fit on the top of the big pocket. Okay, so then we're going to cut across the bottom of the pocket, fold and burnish, fold and burnish. And I did actually score these wrong originally, so they're going to be on the trickier side to fold here for me, but that's because I wasn't thinking about it. Okay, so again, I'm going to fold and burnish, fold and burnish, and fold and burnish. We're going to do the same thing on this. So I am going to go ahead and fold and burnish. Okay, I'm going to do the bottom first. Lining it up because it is the width of the page. You're going to go all the way in the far bottom left corner to make sure you've got it lined up at the bottom and lined up with the outside edge so that it fits on your page. If you're worried, you can always cut them a hair shorter than the full width of the page. So in this case, because we had to score, you would go just under 10 inches and then score, turn it, and score, as opposed to scoring and scoring like I did. Okay, so now with the pockets that go on top of this, we want to dry fit them first, and clearly they didn't need to be trimmed down, or I scored them wrong because they are not running the full width of the page like I intended. But you know what? Actually, I think I like that better. So, because these are going to need to be matted underneath, all I'm going to glue down is the bottom tab. After I have, and Actually, I'm going to put them touching in the middle here. After I have matted back here, then I'll glue my sides up, okay? So I'm going in about 3/4 of an inch-ish. As you know, I don't like measure exactly on these kind of things. I just kind of eyeball it. If you want to, you're about 5/8 of an inch in from each side. Okay, go ahead and mat underneath here and then glue those down, and that one is good to go. We're going to skip the front of page 3, go to the back of page 3. Okay, so the back of page 3. Find my little pile here. We have some long flaps and we have some pockets. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, back of page 3. First up, we have 2 pieces that are 5 by 9 with the 5 inch at the top of the scoreboard. You're going to score 1/2 inch from the end, whether that's at 1/2 inch or at 4.5 inches, just so you've got that 1/2 inch tab. Okay, so in my case, I'm doing 4.5. Okay, we have 2 pockets. These are 3 by 10. You will get these from your scraps from cutting your page bases. Okay, so 3 by 10, you're going to score at, on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch, turn it to the 10 and score at 1/2 inch and at 9.5 on both of those. Then we've got our closure. We have a piece that is 3 by 7, again from your cutoffs from your page bases, so that you're not wasting a bunch of paper with 4.5 inch, where you can only get so many out of a 12 by 12 sheet, because that drives me insane. I try really hard in my projects to use those scraps that you have left from cutting your big pieces, like your cover or your page bases or whatever, to do elements inside the project, so that you don't have a lot of like weird scraps left over that you're using most of each full sheet within the project itself. I try really, really hard to do that. Occasionally it doesn't work out that way, but in case you're wondering, that's kind of my thought process when I'm designing these projects. So 7, we are going to score at 6.5. Our other piece is 3 by 4, and you're going to score at 3.5. Okay, this page will need a magnet for the closure. We will get to that in just a second. Oh, hold on. One more. Okay. On the 3 by 4 and the 7, or in the 3 by 7, 1/2 inch and then 5/8. Sorry, I knew I was missing one. I did this earlier and this was the one. Okay, so 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch on both of those. Okay, so those are actually going to go down first. So we are going to miter on both of those at the 1/2 inch. You don't want to cut through your 5/8 gusset. Okay. We are going to fold and burnish both score lines. So the 1/2 inch and the 5/8. That little 5/8 gusset is going to be what makes this close nice and flat over our other flaps and their pockets. Okay. All right, so it is up to you if you want the short end, which side you want the short end on. Okay, I'm going to do my shorter side to the inside. So I'm going to put glue on my tab. I'm going to turn this sideways so that I can kind of see what looks like close to halfway for me. Okay. There's one. Turn it back the other direction. Do the same thing on the other side. And we're going to line it up on top of the other one. So to make sure that they overlap like we want. Okay. All right. So our 2 5x9 flaps. We are going to miter and miter. Okay, we're going to fold and burnish. And then you will need to decide for the pockets, because the pockets are going to be side load that are going to run lengthwise. If you want them on the top of the flaps or if you want them on the inside of the flaps. It is entirely up to you. Honestly, I haven't decided which way I want to do mine yet. But before we do that, I'm going to open these flaps up and I'm going to set this one in over here and over here to make sure that they meet up in the middle without being too close. If they overlap at all, you're going to want to take just a little sliver off. I think I'm going to take a sliver off of this one. And when I say a sliver, I literally mean like less than, you know, like that. That's literally what I just trimmed off of this one. Okay. So we got that figured out. Now we just need to miter our pockets. So we're going to go across and across. Across and across. Okay. Okay. Fold and burnish all of this down. Ah! Dropping stuff. Okay. And now I need to decide if I'm doing these on the top where you will see the pockets. I think I do want to do them on the top. So I'm going to put these on before I put these flaps in the book. Okay. I think that's going to be easier. Make sure I get these nice and flat. Okay. So I'm folding my tab in and then lining my pocket up on top and putting that down. Okay. Okay. And we'll do the same thing on the other one. Because doing it this way, then when we mat underneath, we can make underneath more of like a layout style page, but you still have extra place to tuck photos. So, okay, so let's go ahead and put these in. And these are going to be top to bottom, even. Okay, that will close over like so. On the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Take another sliver off of this other side too, because it's not quite where I want it. Okay. All right. Yep. Nope, maybe not. Hold on. Nope, another little sliver off. That's the nice thing. At least we can check this and make sure before we get it all totally put together. That'll work. Okay. All right, so now we need a magnet, set of magnets. I have been getting mine from a website called Total Element. These are under bar magnets. You want to set the thickness to 1/32, so that's going to give you the thinnest ones. And these are 1/4 by 1/2 is the measurement on there. They've got lots of options on there. Their pricing is reasonable. I think I get 100 of these magnets for like $17 or $18 if they're on sale. The other size I buy is like 1/2 inch by 3/4, I think. But I've been incredibly happy with these, and it's definitely more cost effective than most of the magnets that you see out there. Okay, so this is going to have to go fairly close to this edge. I didn't mean to do that one first. That one needed to be underneath, which I will get new tape because I got that all messed up. Okay. All right, so we're going to go like so. Lay all this flat. Drop the other one down on top. And then tape it in place. And there's that one. Skip the front of page 4, go to the back of page 4. The back of page 4, I had it sketched out in my little notebook during a training for work that I had to go in person, and my part of the training that I had to teach was done, and I really, I had to stay, but, so instead I sat and sketched out this book. Okay, so now I need to decide. I think I want the pine cones up. I really like the pine cones, and that kind of goes with the paper we're putting on the back side, especially if I split it and do the pine cone side up like here, and then the ticket side, that'll go really well together. So we're going to do it that way. Because seriously, those deer have weird looking faces. I don't know why. It's just odd, but that's okay. Maybe other people don't think they're odd. This might be a me problem. Lots of things are a me problem lately, it seems like. Okay. All right, so now I got to figure out for sure how I was going to do this. I had this figured out again earlier. Okay. So we have a base that is 7 by 7. There is no scoring. Okay. Because this, of course, is going to go in the middle here after we build our page element on top. We have a center base, is what I called it, that is 4 by 12. We are going to score this one at 4 inches and 8 inches. What we want to do after you score it is on one end or the other, you're going to want to take about 1/16 of an inch off so that when they fold in, it folds in on itself without running into problems. Okay? Okay, so I took a 1/16 off on that end. I'm going to fold and burnish this down. And fold this over and burnish it down, and it should just close up seamlessly. Okay, this is going to go down in the middle here after you mat that, but this part doesn't impede us. Like, you can mat this later and then put this down on top and it's fine. Okay, you could leave it because honestly this brown on top of those pine cones is really pretty, but that's not exactly how I envisioned this one working. Okay, so I have 2 pieces that are 4 by 4.5. With the 4.5 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 5/8 and 1/2 inch and 5/8, just like we did on the flaps on the other one. This one is also going to have a magnet, I think. No, it's not. Just kidding. I don't know why I did that other score on those. No, this does too. Okay, sorry. like I said, I confused myself so badly on this one. Okay, and then you need 4 pieces that are 7 by 4. All of these you're going to score at 1/2 inch with the 4-inch side at the top. Okay, so 1/2 inch on all of these. We are going to miter all of these. Okay, so we're going to move that. I'm going to take this, I'm going to take the first one. I'm going to dry fit it so that that tab goes to the back. Same thing on the other side. Tab goes to the back. Okay. Where does it? Maybe they go on top. Oh, no, they're fine on top. Just kidding. Okay. So, we're going to glue these on. Okay. Glue that down. Glue this one down. Okay. All right. These two, you're going to fold and burnish. Okay, this will go on here like so. Okay, so it'll open this way and then pull out. Okay. And same thing on the other side. And this is one, if you wanted to do a ribbon instead of doing magnets, you absolutely could. In fact, that honestly is probably how I initially envisioned this. So these will fold out. This will be in here like so. Yeah, I don't think those needed, I think that's exactly what I did. I don't think these needed the extra score mark. But you know what? It's fine, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fold them at that second score mark. We're going to ignore the 1/2 inch. We're just going to fold it on the 5/8 and miter. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I think that was the point in the training where there was a question asked that I was like, I had to like not look at my boss because it would have made him start laughing. Because that's how this happens sometimes with us. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly what this is. So this is going to go at the top. That's exactly what it is. So I'm going to wrap this to the back side there. So this all folds in. That's exactly what it was. Okay, that explains what these were for. And then we do need the ribbon. Okay. Okay, so again, that's going to go like so. This one, of course, is the one that folds in. And then out like so. Okay. All right. That wasn't too bad, but this is gonna, we're just gonna sit this in here while we find some ribbon. And I think on this one, I think I want the green. So I'm gonna pull some of this off. Come on. Okay, so again, we're just gonna tie this around. Kind of center it up, and then this one will go down in here like so. And because this one's bigger, we are not going to leave any kind of gap on the top to tuck anything into. We are just going to glue it all the way around. Okay. And I know that one's just sitting in there, but that's on purpose so that we could get it, the ribbon tied like we wanted. And then I will glue this one in later after I have matted the inside of this whole little mechanism. Okay, so I'm going to just clip him back on there and call it good. Okay, now we are on to all of our little things that are going to have the same window. Okay, so let me get a few things prepped and I will be right back. Okay, so for all of our little window pages, you're going to need 4 pieces of acetate that are 4 3/4 by 8 3/4. Okay, so I've got those cut and off to the side here. So let's start with page 1. I also have my matting cut for everywhere that's going to need a mat. So let's do our pocket and one of our flaps first, because this one's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so front of page 1, we have a pocket that is 5.5 by 10. With the 10 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 9.5. Turn it and score it 1/2 inch. We have a flap that is 5.5 by 9. With the 5.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, or in my case, 5 inches. And we have a flap that is 5 by 9. Again, with the 5 inches at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, that part's the easy part. So 5 by 9 flap, I am going to miter. 5.5 by 9, I'm going to miter. This is the one that's going to have our window in it. Every one of these that has the window in it is going to be 5.5 by 9. Okay, so and we're going to miter our pocket. Like so. And I am going to go ahead and put down the pocket. Okay. And that is going to go to this outside edge. So I'm going to go ahead and get glue just on the bottom. Get this lined up out here on the edge. Like so. And then we are going to do our sides. And down. Okay. And then the 5 by 9 flap is actually going to go across from that. just going to go over here like so. Make sure that's actually sitting flat the way it's supposed to. Unlike what I just had going on there. This is going to go over here. Okay. All right, so our flap that's going to have the pocket. This is going on the top. That one's going in there. This one's going on the back side. So these are 4 7/8 by 8 7/8. Okay, so you'll be able to get 2 of these out of one sheet. What I'm going to do is take my temporary adhesive and put it down, and again, temporary adhesive, put it down. Okay, and then we are going to take our 4x8 chipboard scrap again, and we are going to do just like we did earlier. We're going to center this up, and we are going to go around this with our knife. However, I am going to change the blade in this one really quickly. Fingers crossed that I can do this without cutting my finger open, because that's usually when I end up doing it. It's like right after I change the blade. Okay. This one's like actually super easy to change. It's just these things are like crazy sharp. And I put the old one back in there. And then I just mark on the package that I have actually used that one already. And then we put it away. Okay. So we're going to be very, very careful. And we are going to try to do this without cutting our chipboard like I just did. But that's okay, because this is going to hopefully go all the way through. If not, we will deal with that when we get it off. I can tell that one went all the way through, even though my first one did not. Yep, see, that one went all the way through. The other one, for whatever reason, didn't, and that's okay. We'll figure it out. Okay. Okay, that one's good, that one's good. Other side. Okay. That one's good. This one, I'm going to very carefully pull that off, because this piece we will be able to use elsewhere. But we just want to finish off those corners if it didn't get all the way through to where it's freed up. Okay, so we're good on like three sides. And we just need this last side. Okay, so let's see here. And the whole reason we can't just glue this together is we have to be able to get our acetate in there without it being on top of our pattern paper, okay? So we can put these aside. We can use these later on to mat somewhere else. You can take this piece and turn it into a tag for somewhere else in the book. That will work as well. And I'm going to do it from the back side. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to go around my opening with my score tape. Okay. All right. So we are going to go ahead, get our backing off. I am going to go all the way around. If you are not comfortable, you can do it a section at a time, where you pull the backing out from underneath the acetate. It is entirely up to you. Whatever works best for you. For me, I've done this enough times that I'm not super worried about it. Okay. And then we're going to put this one down, which I don't necessarily want to glue that because, I mean, it'll stick. You know what? It'll be fine. It will be fine. We just have to be kind of careful with it for a second because it does take a little bit longer to dry. Although, again, because the border on these is going to be small enough that you could only mat this on one side, like on the top side, and leave the back side of the flap where this is unmatted, and that would be okay. And it would still look nice. That was weird. Like a glue lump. Ah, it's still on my finger. Okay. All right. So that one is ready to go. Fold and burnish. Move that. This is going to go on top of the pocket. And I just totally forgot to put my magnet in there. But you know what? It'll be fine because we're going to put it underneath. And then this one, I do have the matting for underneath it ready because I had a very specific pattern I wanted you to see through the window. Okay, so like so and like so. And then when this is closed, you're getting that snowflake pattern through the window. Okay, so this one needs to go like that. It's okay, I will worry about that in a minute. Okay, let's go to the front of the next one. So the next one, we have a flap that's going to go underneath. That is 9.5 by 9. Oh, it's scoring. I forgot I pre-scored all of this. Okay, so the 9.5 at the top, you're going to score at 9 inches. The flap that the window is going in is again 5.5 by 9, scored at 1/2 inch. And we have a belly band that is 10 by 3. So with the 10 inch at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 9.5. Okay. So let's go ahead and miter everything. Okay. So let's go ahead. I may need to take a sliver off the end of this, which I think I'm going to do. Just to make sure it's not going to run into our other flap. So this one is going to go down to the inside. I seriously spent like 25 minutes the other night cleaning up little tiny pieces of paper off the floor in here that I swear I had just done. So I'm trying really hard to not end up with them all over the floor again. We'll see how long this actually lasts, but I'm really trying not to do that again. Okay. All right, so that one goes there. The other one will go in here. And then the belly band will go in the middle. So I'm going to fold and burnish. And then with the belly band, we're just going to center it. Okay. Turn that back around. And we are going to do the exact same thing with this that we did before. We are going to take that temporary adhesive. We are going to mat with the temporary adhesive our flap, both front and back. So I think I'm going to do that one. Okay, and then again, I'm going to just center this, eyeball it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Okay. Okay. And if you want to mark this with a pencil and do it with your paper trimmer, by all means, do that. That will work as well. It is entirely up to you what works best for you. Okay. Put that off. Set it aside. Use that piece again, because that temporary adhesive does just like rub off. All right. wiped through right there. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one on the front first. Okay. Then we're going to flip that over. Pull that off and then repeat exactly what we did on the last one. I'm going to go around with the score tape, put our acetate down, put our frame back, our matting that is, back on our frame. Okay. And again, another piece of our acetate. Okay. There we go there. Okay. All right. Then we can fold and burnish our tab. And this will go in the book on the right-hand side of page 2. Okay. Again, I have forgotten my magnet, but I'll end up putting something that's going to kind of go right there in that space, so it will be fine. Okay. Page 3 is going to be page 4. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. It's because it's not. Okay. All right, so here's our matting. Front flap, again, 5.5 by 9, score it 1/2 inch, just like we've been doing, because this is the one that's going to get the window. I have a piece that is 3 by 7. With the 7 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. And we have a piece that is 5 by 9.5. Why is it 9.5? That should not be 9.5, that should be 9. 5 by 9. Unless it was supposed to go the other direction. But even then, that still doesn't totally make sense, but that's okay. So 5 by 9, score at 1/2 inch. So we'll go ahead and miter. And fold and burnish. This one will go to the inside. we're going to miter. This one we're going to put in last because it's going to kind of come partway over the 2 flaps to hold it down, because we do need a magnet on this one. And then we're going to repeat the process to cut our frame and mat our piece over here. Okay, so we've got those temporarily adhered. We're going to go ahead and, because it does like transfer, that's why I keep adding it to that. Okay, and then just repeat again. For crying out loud. Okay, there we go. Get them all in the first try? No, of course not. We go. Okay, and then again. For crying out loud, if I can get a hold of it here. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. And then acetate. Okay. Let's only use one of those, not both of those. Because that'd be about right, wouldn't it? Okay. see where I got a little notch cut into that. Let's make sure we line that up. And we did that. Okay. So again, okay, so then this piece, we're going to put, this all kind of closes up like so. This one's actually going to go right there in the middle. Okay, and then let me grab a magnet set. We're gonna do one right there in the middle, one right there, and that will, of course, except I think I got this not quite right. There we go. Okay. All right. So there's that one. Somehow this is not sitting quite the way I want it to. We're okay. There we go. That's okay. All right, last one. So let's do the little flap piece first. So again, 5.5 by 9, scored it 1/2 inch, just like we've been doing. I'm not going to show you on this one again because it's the same as the last 3. And then we will, oops, temporary adhesive. I'm going to do this on the back side. We'll do this one on the front. Plaid. Okay. Get our chipboard template again. And one last time. Okay. Not quite all the way through up there. I was going to say, finally, did we get one on the first try? But no. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So we're done with that. Go ahead and do our last acetate piece. And because, of course, this, you know, has been par for the course. So apparently, thankfully, only the last little bit. So this flap and the waterfall, it did not record. And I think it was because my Mac was the storage was almost full. So, um, we're going to do that again. I've got, discontinued artisan. So the flap is 6 by 6.5 with the 6-inch at the top. No, 6.5 at the top, because I actually did this wrong. So this is probably good. 6.5 at the top, you're going to score at 6 inches. So when you see my matting and you see that I pieced this, you won't have to piece this because this cut apart will fit just as is. Okay, so 6.5. Your belly band is 10 by 3, so you're going to score at 9.5 and at 1/2. And then your waterfall, you have 8 pieces that are 4.5 by 3. You're going to score each of these at 1/2 inch. So I'm doing it from the opposite end, so I'm doing it at 4 inches just to make it easier. I thought I was doing so well. I had actually gotten through the entire tutorial without having anything that needed edited out. I didn't swear, I didn't screw anything up that I needed to edit. And I went, as I was putting it all together and I checked it, I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. So we are going to actually, because I'm not gonna, so I know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, sorry. See, now I'm all flustered. You're gonna miter on our belly band. And I'm going to fold and burnish one end. There's my bump holder. Okay. And then you're going to attach it like so. So just typically how you would build a belly band. Where you're just bumping the next piece up against the bottom of the piece before it. I find it easier to build them upside down, like so. And so on and so forth all the way down. Of course, in the actual book, I did use glue. And because you're doing it on a belly band that is the same width as your flaps, it's very easy to keep it all straight because you are just lining up the sides of those flaps with the sides of the belly band. Super simple. I did 8 flaps. You probably could have actually gotten 9, maybe 10 on here, probably 10. But I didn't want to. It was already a lot of flaps for a belly band, or not a belly band, a waterfall. Okay, so like so, and then again, like so. And of course, because this is me just very quickly redoing this, mine is absolutely not straight. This is not going anywhere. So when I put it in the book, I had the flap in here already. And this flap is the same as all of the other flaps. So this got done. I think it got attached into the book, and that's where my recording cut off. Apparently because of a space concern on my Mac. So there we go. All right, so what I did is I did line this up with the edge of that flap. I had actually put a magnet in here. However, I did not do enough of a gusset for it to go over this and be able to still connect. So don't bother. Okay, so this is going to go in like so. Your flap actually needed one more gusset. So I had done a 5/8, so a 1/2 inch and a 5/8 inch score on this. However, it probably really needs to be 3/4 so that it will fold completely over that belly band. So had I done it that way, yeah, it would have folded over that exactly, which I wish this was not a discontinued artisan color because this would have gone beautifully with this collection too. But that's okay. So yeah, so if you do it with the 1/4 inch gusset instead of the 1/8 inch, then you really could still get your magnet in there and it would actually close. Mine doesn't attach, but you know what? It's fine. Once everything's closed up, it's actually just fine. Okay, so let's get to the matting. Okay, so I've got it all pre-cut. I used one of my cutoffs from the front and back inside cover for the spine, for the back, which I totally did not realize when I was cutting everything last night that I had not actually cut the one for the back until I'd cut everything else. So this was the lone full sheet I had left, which is fine. Because I'll put like a cut apart or I'll put something on the back of this. I could have pieced the back, but I don't always want to do that. But I could, excuse me, it's early. I could go back through my scraps and do that. So the outside matting is going to be 9 7/8 by 9 7/8. The spine is 9 7/8 by 1 7/8. And of course, we did this front piece together. We did the front inside together. So for the pocket pieces are 1 7/8 by 3 7/8. So I did use the 2x2 cut aparts for this because you're cutting them down to the right size, pretty much just automatically. So I'm going to leave those as they are. I don't want the weirdly creepy deer. So I'm going to turn this one over. Super easy. And then this is one of the 4x4 cut aparts cut down to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 to fit on top of the 4x4 pocket. Okay. Super easy. So that is done. Okay, in here we still need to hide a magnet of some kind. So I'm going to grab, uh-oh, where did those just go? Oh, it stuck to my thing. Okay. Oh, it really stuck. Okay. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put this one right there. Oh, no, not right there. Hello. Right there. That is going to end up putting it, which actually I think will be okay because the edge of this will end up kind of sitting on top of yeah, you know what? That'll actually work. Okay, so that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I've got my piece for in here. And this one ended up being, sorry, I gotta find a ruler. I didn't write these down. I literally sat and like cut them and tucked them in where they needed to go last night. All right, so this is 4 inches by 8 7/8. And I'm just going to continue that snowflake across because honestly, it's just too pretty not to. And this isn't going to go down inside the pocket, except maybe an eighth of an inch, which is fine. Excuse me. Okay, so this was 4.5 inches. So this is 4 3/8 by 8 7/8. I think. Double check, because this one was like the one oddball one. Yeah, 4 3/8 by 8 7/8. Had like one weird one, and it was this flap. Okay. Okay. So that will hold that down, and then I've got the other half of that piece. Again, 4 3/8 by 8 7/8. All right. And of course, I'll come back through and decorate later. So this one is going to be fairly simple. So these are going to be 5 7/8 by 4. I'm sorry, 5 3/4. So I've got this one, and where it's something like this kind of folds out, intended for pictures, you don't need to mat the entire thing unless you want to, because that can make it kind of bulky sometimes when you go to fold it back up. And so again, 5 3/4 by 5 7/8. And then again, so this one I've just got it repeating down through. So I ended up using, oops, get it turned right, that would help. The entire collection pack. I've got the tag sheets, the tag sheet that I have not cut apart yet. But that's because that's not something I'm going to be matting with. So I haven't cut that apart yet. And aside from that, I used an additional sheet of each pattern except the tag sheet. So I'll put, of course, all of this in the description. But this is a bigger project, so of course it does take some extra paper. So this center piece is going to be 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And then our side pieces, why is that one wrong? Oh, that's right, because I had cut aparts and I was going to use something it's like decoration on that one. Okay, so these two are going like so. So these are 5 7/8 by 2 7/8. See, do you understand now why I don't record the matting? This is like so boring. Okay. So this is now a little bit tighter. This probably could have used being a little bit wider and then putting in a gusset, but you know what? I'm fine with it. And then this is from the journaling cut aparts. So the sheet that's got like all the different sizes and stuff of cut aparts. So as you can see, this one fits. This one I actually cut down. This one's not quite the same length, but I'm going to put something either from one of the ephemera packs or from that same sheet. I'll end up cutting another piece to finish off the bottom of this, just because I wanted that little list here on the top. So we're going to go ahead and tie this. This one, there's not going to be a whole lot of embellishment that goes into this one other than maybe doing some of the stickers and whatnot on the inside there, but that one is, you know, tight enough as it is. Okay, so this one, we did not get, I did not get the magnet on here yet, did I? No. No, okay. So for this one, I was running, lower on the paper. I didn't want the lighter green that we ended up using on the back there over here. So I did leave the branding strip on this one, which I will tuck underneath over here. And tuck this in from this side so there's a gap in between, but it will be fine. So these are 8 7/8 tall, and then whatever I had left here. So this one's what? This one's 4. I think that one's 3.5. Just whatever I had left because, we're getting down to scraps at that point. And so when you're doing something like this where you've got, a bigger project you're trying to conserve on paper, go through. So when I figure out matting, I don't like start at page 1 and then go through the book. I kind of go back and forth depending on if there's anything I had to mat ahead of time, like these pieces, so that I'm matching to those. But I'll go through and I'll figure out where my biggest cuts need to be. And those are the very first ones I do, just to make sure that I'm not, cutting into a sheet to mat some small area and then the remainder of it is too small to mat somewhere else that needs it. Okay, so this is going to be our last set of magnets because I think we got the rest of them in where they needed to go, like originally. So this one, I am going to put it on the belly band. Put the other half on top of the big flap. So this is 2 7/8 by 7 7/8, and this is just like the other half of that piece with the trees. I actually have the full 6x8 pad I haven't even touched yet, so I'll end up doing another project with it later on. So this is the back side of the 3x4 cut aparts. The plaids in this line are really, really pretty. So this is 7 7/8 by, or I'm sorry, 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. I think I cut it just a hair under because I had cut that flap a hair under to make sure it was going to sit in here right. Okay, and then I will drop my magnet down there and adhere it down. And again, 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. So when I come back through and put photo mats, because I've used pretty much all of my solids, I would recommend getting a second pack of the coordinating solids. I only grabbed one, and I probably, oh, that's what I needed to do. It did need something else. You know what? It's fine. It will be fine because we'll put something, maybe like one of the foam stickers or something to help weigh that down, to keep that down, and it will be fine. Okay, moving on. So this is our piece that we needed to mat underneath where the pockets go. So this is going to be 7 7/8 by, or I'm sorry, 8 7/8. I keep saying 7. 4 7/8 by 8 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. And I may have to go see if I can find a second pack of the solids to do photo mats on this. I honestly don't know. I think I've got like some off-white artisan that would actually be okay. I'm going to have to look and see because I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue my pockets down now. So we got the matting underneath. Okay, so our matting that's going to go on the top of our big pocket here matches what's on the other side, and this is 4.5 by 8 7/8. So it slips a little bit down into the pocket, but it doesn't need to go all the way down because that's just wasting paper. Okay, so there is that. And then for the pockets, I have 2 of the 4x4 cut aparts cut down to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. You know, being on the Doodlebug design team, there's not like all the different sizes of cut aparts. So I've had to, which I mean, with theirs, they've got enough other ephemera pieces and whatnot. But man, I miss having my cut aparts sometimes because they're just so nice to do just exactly that. Okay, so on this side, we have got 2 pieces that are 2 7/8 by 6 3/8 for this flap here. So this is, of course, that journaling cut apart sheet again. And I'm going to put that down on top. You could come through and do corner rounding. I ended up deciding not to do that because I didn't want the mix of the rounded and then the not rounded. So you absolutely could round these before you mat them, and that would look really nice. Okay. All right, so this one is going to be 8 7/8 by 8 7/8, of course, because it's the, yeah, I'm going to have to figure out something for photo mats with this, even if it ends up being some of my scraps that are like the plaids and things, because this one is going to need it. Okay. All right, so my pieces to mat this flap are 2 different sizes. Did I cut that one wrong? Oh, I just cut that one wrong. That's all. Okay. So these should both be 4 3/8 by 7 7/8. Let me do this top one first. Then I'll trim this other one down. Okay. So this should be 4 3/8. Unless I actually had this cut for somewhere else and then moved it, which is entirely possible. It was late. Okay. Get that little gunk off, and then I wanted the polka dot side up on this one. There were just way too many really pretty papers in this one. And then one creepy deer page, but that's, that's okay. Okay, so this one is actually super easy. So for our closures, we have 2 7/8 by 3.5 and 2 7/8 by, I believe it was 6.5, 6.25. I'm sorry, 6.25, and then 3.25. That's what it was. 2 7/8 by 3.25, 2 7/8 by 6 6.5. I could put our creepy deer facing up. And I still cut this wrong. Oh my gosh, seriously. Did I do both of them wrong? Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can tell I got to this page like late in the game last night. So 6.25. So why on earth? All right. 2 7/8 by 6.25. Okay. So then I think I was doing the plaid up on this side, because then that matches with the plaid on the opposite page to tie the two together. Okay. And then we'll do the snowflakes on the back side. Okay. And this one, let's see if I cut this one right. I did not cut this one right either. So this one should have been 3.25. Okay. I don't know. I think I didn't take into account the gusset on either one of these. Is most likely what I did. Okay. So 3.25 by 2 7/8 on this one, front and back. No idea why that's still on there. Okay, so those are both done. So for the outsides of the pockets, we've got 2 3/8 by 7 7/8. I'm sorry, 8 7/8. Why do I keep saying that? Oh my God. 2 7/8 by 8 7/8. Okay, and then for the insides of the pockets, I believe these are just 3 1/8 by 8 7/8. So we're just going to tuck that in there like so. The solids in this collection are so pretty. They've got that little bit of snow at the top. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. So backside. Am I doing it that way or am I doing it that way? Okay, so this is the one that we're going to do as kind of just a large layout, which honestly, a lot of these like underneath sides, that's what's going to end up happening just because we've got the space and why not? So which side do I want to do? I think I want to do it like this. Okay, so we've got two pieces that are 4 3/8 by 8 7/8. and then one that is 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. And of course, you can mat this however you see fit, because that is the beauty of doing these, is you can take any tutorial, you can use any paper, and it will still work. I don't think I have anything. Well, I take that back. Anytime I've done a shaped album, that is usually themed to a specific collection, which makes sense, because why would I do it otherwise? This is like weirdly sized or something. What did I do here? There we go. Okay. There we go. Something is not laying right in there. Weird. I don't know. Okay. With the exception of shaped albums, any of my tutorials you can do with any paper and they will look just fine. Okay, so did I not do? No, I did. Okay, so this front of this piece we are going to actually piece, because I very much wanted to use this 4x6 cut apart. So we're going to do that on this front and then kind of piece around it, which I, again, not something I typically do, but I actually think I probably scored this one wrong. I'm pretty sure that that's not how I meant to do that one, but you know what? It's fine. It happens. It's not a big deal. So the little matting piece up above there is 4 by 3 3/8, and then this one was like, I think 1 1/4. Yeah, 1 1/4 by 6 3/8. Just to finish that off, which, I mean, it looks fine. Okay, so this is 6 3/8 by something, I don't know, 5 1/4. Like I said, I think I did actually turn this one wrong when I scored it, but you know what? It's fine. Okay, so the waterfall. So for the waterfall, I've got a mix, or I've got the 4x4 cut aparts cut down to 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and I've got them kind of stacked in the order I want them to go, alternating between the front of the cut apart and then the plaid that's on the back side. So this will go super easy, because of course the back side of one of these I think had the creepy deer again. And I don't mat the back sides of my waterfalls because that's where you're going to put your pictures. So, yep, see, creepy deer. Goodbye, creepy deer. I'm covering you in glue. It's early. I haven't had enough coffee yet, honestly. It's like sitting off to the side here. Okay. We're almost there. We're on the home stretch. Got one more page after this. All right, and then this piece is 4 3/4 by 2 7/8. It's just for this bottom part of this waterfall. And then this is 8 7/8 by 8 7/8. I am not going to pull this out of here. I am actually just going to lift this up and do my glue underneath rather than try to fight with getting that whole page back underneath here, because that is always the tricky part with belly bands, is getting that matting underneath. And I did just get the glue all over right there, darn it. There we go. Okay. All right, so that is done. Close that there and there. Where's my magnet? Does this one not have one? No, it has one. Where is it? It's underneath there. And now it doesn't catch because of the waterfall. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Okay. You know what? It's fine. It'll be fine. Okay. All right, so this one I did end up cutting it and flipping that top piece over just so that I had that same little piece with the pine cones front and back. Nothing too hard there. And then I realized last night that this is actually wired ribbon, which had I realized that, I would have pulled the wire out before I actually put the ribbon in here, but that's okay. All right, so for these pullouts, these are 6 7/8 by 3 3/8 for each one of them. I believe I am using that one on the top. Yeah, I totally didn't even think about that. I told you I was rusty. All I have done the last like 2 months is either junk journals or follow other people's tutorials where I didn't have to think about it. I have not actually done anything on my own in weeks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to do, because the back side of that is cut parts. So I didn't end up using that magnolia piece anywhere. Which, fun fact, so when my dad passed away a couple of years ago, my friends sent a tree as like a memorial gift to plant in our backyard. And they sent a magnolia. Okay, I live in Utah. And I was kind of going, which I love magnolias, absolutely love them. When we lived in Georgia, like there were some in our neighborhood, they're amazing. But I was like, okay, interesting. I was like, I didn't think they would grow here. You know what? That sucker is thriving. I am so surprised. Like, you don't ever see them here, but so we'll see what happens like as it gets bigger. But so far it is thriving, which is awesome, quite honestly. Okay, so for this, you can see we have a branding strip. It's because we are going to turn it this way with the branding strip from the opposite side because I was running out of paper. And yes, I did use my pieces that we cut out from the frames. And everything. Like I said, this ended up taking much more paper than I anticipated. which is fine. I had purchased enough of it. It was okay. But yeah. Okay. All right. Middle piece is 6 7/8 by 6 7/8. And this is the blue polka dot. Okay. And then this one, we're going to just glue down in the middle. This one, I did not mat the inside of it. And then I've got a 4x4 cut apart, cut down to 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 for the top. But other than that, the inside of this little pullout is not matted. And then we're going to tie our unfortunately wired ribbon. But that's okay. I don't think I can pull the wire out with it like attached down. But that's okay. All right, so that is all of your matting ready to go, ready to finish decorating. That part, I don't think I'm going to do on camera because that literally takes me forever. So what I have as options over here, I do have the chipboard frames, which I don't know that I'll be using other than maybe like right here. I might, in fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that one down right here just because that's upside down. That actually works really well right there. Other than that, the rest of them, I don't think I'm going to end up using on this. I'm going to save them for something else. I might use a couple of them like in here, but I'm not positive. Outside of that, I have got the bits and pieces, the sentiment bits, which this was something newer. The floral bits, which there's a lot of pine cones in here, so I'm not sure how many of those I'll actually end up using. I might save those for the second project. We've got page pieces, and again, I don't know. We'll see. The foam stickers, which I always love. 6x8 pad I'm not using on this. The foam stickers are amazing. And then I have the rub-ons. And the reason I grabbed the rub-ons was my thought was the rub-ons on this collection are absolutely stunning. And a couple of these I should be able to like kind of cut and keep sections together. And I really had thought about using them on these windows. So like on this one, I would maybe go with let me get these out of here and find my bone folder. So, you know, and I know I've talked about this before, like rub-ons have kind of come back, which honestly I kind of think is really cool because I always thought those were just neat. So I really could take this and cut this one down and come around like so. So let me so I could take and trim that and this whole thing would fit right here. Okay. So to do that, what I would do at this point, it obviously would be easiest if this was done prior to this piece going in the book. Okay, so because it's already in here, what I'm going to do is put something hard underneath. I'm going to line this up, and then I'm just going to come in here, and they go on super, super easy. You can tell when they're down because the color that you see through their top carrier sheet will kind of change. And get lighter, and that's typically how you can kind of tell that you've got it down. You can also very carefully kind of pull up. And as long as you keep it lined up, like as you check it, you can put it back down to get anything that didn't get picked up. But using these on acetate, honestly, has like become one of my new favorite things. It's just too fun. Okay. So you can kind of see how the word gets lighter as it transfers because it's no longer on its backing. It's no longer on the carrier sheet. It has moved completely to your acetate. The bigger ones are the ones that take a little bit more work. But again, the end effect is just so cool. Okay. There you go. Except I missed an entire middle piece right there. There we go. Check that out. Is that not the coolest? So now that's laying on top of my element right there. And there you go. That is just like amazing to me. I don't know. I love these. It's just very cool. So I could take like this other one and it would actually fit like that. Or on this one, actually, I like it better on this one. Okay. So that's an option for you as well. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of the decorating or any of the decorating on camera just because, like I said, I spend a lot of time with things spread everywhere and like moving them around and everything else, and it just takes forever. And depending on what you're using this for, and you may want to do pictures first if you're putting pictures in there. God knows mine never get pictures. That's just how this works with me. And I'm sure most of you know this by now. But that you might want to wait and do that after you've put your pictures and things in. So as always, thank you for watching. I will have links to all of the products used in the description box below. I do get a small commission from Country Craft Creations if you do choose to buy them there, which does help keep my videos free, which of course we all want, but they do take a lot of time. So yeah, any little bit helps. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.